Howdy folks, welcome back to World of Tanks with the mighty Jingles. I'm starting off a new compilation in this video. I'll be doing these semi-regularly, calling them the good, the bad and the ugly. And I'm calling them that for two reasons. One, it's a cool name. Don't really need another reason, when the first reason was so good. But the second reason is because what you're going to be seeing is various gameplay, some of it good, some of it bad, and some of it downright ugly. To begin with, this is Air Force 369 in his AMX-12T. Now, in a previous video, I may have inadvertently given something of a bad rap to the mid-tier light tanks. And I certainly didn't mean it. The point I was making was that I thought it was high time that Wargaming reassessed the matchmaking that they give to mid and low-tier light tanks, tanks that get scout matchmaking. Specifically, I was talking about tanks like the A20, you know, the Tier 4 light tanks. Tanks like the A20, the Panther 38 RA, they get put into Tier 8 games as scouts when they're just completely inadequate at it. They don't have the view range, sometimes they don't even have the speed, and they don't really have the firepower to do anything other than kill other scouts. And if they get the chance, there's his first kill by the way, an M5 Stewart, and if they get the chance to take out enemy artillery, and I seem to have upset the light tank drivers. I got all sorts of comments. Oh no, Jingles. Oh no. No, we're not having that. You don't know what a good AMX-12T driver can do. So, fair enough. You know, it's a fair call. Here's Air Force 369, a good AMX-12T driver. Now, admittedly, this is not a Tier 9 game, which is the kind of match that you can get into with an AMX-12T. This is unusually generous matchmaking for one of these little Tier 6 French autoloaders. But hey. If you do get into one of these kind of games, you may as well make the most of it, because it doesn't happen very often. And the trick, even though you're effectively, I mean, as a Tier 6 light, you effectively get Tier 7 matchmaking, so even though you are, in one way of speaking, top tier in this game, you're still a very, very fragile little machine, and you shouldn't get overconfident. And the trick to doing well in these machines is knowing when to choose your moment. If you pick your moment well, you'll come out looking like a rock star. If you don't, you'll come out looking like a burning wreck. So, Tier 7 match. AMX-12T. 75mm autoloader gun. Very limited ammunition capacity, however. You really can't afford to be wasting shots at this thing. Now, he gets one into the side of the turret of that IS, but shoot at the targets you can see, not the ones you can't. That 12T's mostly out of effective range now, so instead of wasting his last shot on him, he goes for a reload and he backs off. Now, I did say, it's all about choosing your moment. We've just nailed an Su-85. There's a T25 down there. We know he ain't going to be alone. Air Force goes for it. His first target, the T-49. There's an M4 Sherman in the woods down there, possibly with a 105mm howitzer. They've just lost their Hellcat. He hits the T-49, he misses, he only has 3 shots left, and then suddenly there's all sorts of other tanks here. It's time to get the hell out of Dodge. Spends the last of his ammo, puts the speed and manoeuvrability of this thing to use, using the terrain, puts some ground between himself and the majority of the remaining enemy guns, and he goes around again. He scored 1 kill so far. That was the M5 Stewart right at the beginning. And then his gun reloads, takes a hit from the flak bus. 1 kill. 2 kills. That one bounced. 3 kills. 2 rounds of ammo left. Missed. 1 shot left. 1 shot left. Make it count. And that was 4 kills in 15 seconds. That was pretty epic. And you know, this was actually a good game on a number of different levels, because if you look at chat, the T49 saying, hey, nice rushing AMX. You know, the people are actually giving credit where credit's due, which doesn't happen often in World of Tanks. Generally speaking, right now, he would be being subjected to all kinds of rage and hate from the guys that he just bum-rushed. But it just didn't happen in this game. So it was really, really good to see. Now, he only has 2 rounds of ammunition left. Can he get a Top Gun? Aha. I spy a vulnerable Sherman. Somebody's just put a shot into him. Yeah, we can get a Top Gun. That was a well played game. Air Force 369 showing you what an AMX 12D can do in the right hands with the right matchmaking. A lot of people have asked to see examples of me sucking playing World of Tanks instead of just showing you the games where I do well. Okay. This was a game on steps in the T30, and I'm a top tier 9 tank destroyer in this match, and I do 0 damage the entire game. Sometimes the RNG in World of Tanks just trolls you mercilessly. If you want to see me sucking on a regular basis, by the way, I highly recommend you check out the live streams that we do on Mondays and Thursdays. You won't be disappointed. The RNG in this game just grabbed me by the balls and would not let go. And then when you think the game's going to be kicking your ass all night, it gives you shots like that. That one wasn't too bad either. World of Tanks. You're so silly. Some of you may have heard stories from the Eastern Front in the Second World War of the suicidal bravery of T-34 crews, who often, on numerous occasions, it was reported by German Tiger commanders that they would knock out a T-34, set it on fire, cripple it, riddle it full of shell holes, and the Russian crews would attempt to drive their burning wrecks into Tigers and cripple them by ramming them. And while I'm not saying this didn't happen, it mostly wasn't down to the suicidal bravery of the Russian tank crews. What in fact was usually happening was, because of the way the drive system of the T-34 worked, when the driver took his foot off the pedal, the machine would move forward. So what was happening a lot of the time wasn't down to the bravery of the tank crews, although I'm not saying the tank crews weren't brave, they obviously were. But it was because the driver was actually dead. So his foot came off the pedal, the tank rolled forward. So T-34s versus Tigers is a lot like IS-3s versus E-100s. And oh look. There's an IS-3 on the bridge. And there's an E-100 down below. And he's hit once, and he's hit twice, and he's on fire. Long arm in his IS-3, hit, on fire, burning, about to die, just managed to kill himself. An E-100. There's a hero of the Soviet Union right there. And chat seemed to appreciate it as well. Yes, I know he wasn't the one who actually killed the E-100. I'm crediting him with that kill anyway, because that was epic. So it seems to be a pretty bad day all round for driving E100s. Here's Malachi in his E100, and he's going to answer the question, how quickly can you kill a full health E100? Pretty damn quickly, apparently. Them German Amaraks. So, yeah, it seems to be a pretty bad day to be driving E100s. But that's okay, because we're not driving an E100. This is Chrysamis in his Panther 2. Tier 8, German, medium tech. And you know what? It's not a bad tank. Although you don't see many of them these days. I can't remember the last time I drove my Panther 2. I'm not entirely sure why. I mean, there's nothing especially bad about it. But then again, there's nothing especially good about it either. Okay, the aiming time on the long 88mm gun, that is especially bad. It doesn't have a lot of gun depression, but it's not the only tank in the game that doesn't have a lot of gun depression. It's pretty fast, it's reasonably well armoured for a medium. It's got an accurate, reliable gun with decent penetration. The only problem is, it's in a tier 10 game. There's a platoon of 3 Mousers on the enemy team. On the bright side, even though there's nobody actually come over here other than our Panther 2 here, and this tier 9 Chinese heavy, the WZ-111, it doesn't look like anybody's going to challenge them for the hill here on Prokhorovka. Oh no, I spoke too soon. Tiger, tiger, burning bright. In the shadows of the night. Can you set him on fire twice? Nah. Tiger returns fire, finally penetrates him. That shot went wide, but it took his tracks off, which is going to make him an easy kill. So whoever can reload next, there we go, got it. So that was some good teamwork between our 2 tanks here. And it looks like he actually hit the viewport of the IS-3. The WZ-111's moving up. Chrysamis is being a little more cautious. I mean, he's lost half of his health. And you can see that cluster of enemy tanks. That's basically where most of the fight is going on, over on the north-south road on the western side of the map. And then he realises that there is an Object 704. Now, credit where credit's due. He did let the WZ-111 go ahead, but he didn't realise there was an Object 704 there as well. Thought it was just the IS-3. The second he spotted the Object 704, he came up to back this guy up, and between the two of them, he does in fact save his ass. Keeps going, uses up that speed he built up going over the ridge, sets the IS-3 on fire, dodges his return shot, and between the two of them, they take him apart. And, you know, he even has the good grace to apologise for not backing up the WZ-111 immediately. So, you know, well played. What a guy. And they've basically completely taken over control of the entire eastern end of the map. There you go, he's apologising right there. What a player. Now the W111 goes over. Chrysamis realises he's flank on to a T44, so he backs up. And there's an IS-8 coming back as well. Now this is kind of surprising. External camera view, so you can see what happens to the WZ. Look at where he is. Takes a hit from the IS-8. He's tracked, stationary, reasonably safe from the T44, and then artillery nails him. There. I would have expected to be artillery safe in that position, but apparently not. Now we're not in a very good spot here. We're down at half health. There's a T44. There he is. He's moved up. And an IS-8. But we've got a Tiger 2 and an IS-3 threatening the IS-8. So for now, the T44 is our problem and our problem alone. But they're both tier 8 medium tanks. And the T44 is on full health. And there's a T28 coming back to join the party as well. T44's not looking. Unluckily. Well, that one hit his upper glacis at a very, very steep angle. So, yeah, that was always going to bounce. He's trying to keep this fella spotted, hopefully. Perhaps the IS-3 can help him. From there, down. And the IS-3 has problems of his own with a very nasty looking IS-8. Somebody's hitting that IS-8. He's not doing a lot of damage though. Was that the IS-3 firing high explosive perhaps? T-44 comes over again, just in time for it to reload. Good shot into his lower glacis. T-44 fires, damages the turret traverse. The Panther has a very slow turret traverse anyway. He really didn't need that. His second shot goes into his tracks, doesn't actually take them off. And he starts doing damage to the T-44. Both fire and miss at each other. A little bit of panic going on there maybe. Meanwhile the IS-8's come over and pummeling the IS-3. So everybody's fighting their own little fight here. Nobody can really support each other. Another shot into the T-44, bounces the return shot from his upper glacis and just took him to school. The funny thing was the T-44 was taunting him a moment ago. So, yeah, say what? Bounces a shot from an IS-8 on his upper glacis. Unfortunately, once again, now we have a tier 9 heavy tank. We have no backup. There's a T28 on the map spotted heading this way. Who, we haven't been over this railway and back, but he could be closing in for all we know. Chrysamis knows he cannot go one-on-one against an IS-8. He has to get over this railway embankment. So he's closing in on him as well. And there's the T28. Oh no. But it looks like the T28 was actually facing the other way. What's going on? He only has 571 health. The IS-8 misses. He hits him again. I mean, come on. Come on. That's a fully upgraded IS-8 as well. He misses again. That's the IS-4's gun. He hasn't hit him once. And he kills him. Oh my god. Wow. 4 kills. 4,300 damage done in a tier 8 medium tank in a tier 10 game. So it might be a shitty day to be driving an E100, but it seems to be a good day to be driving a Panther 2. Although, if we're going to be completely fair, while Chrysamis did walk away with double the XP of the next best player on his team, this E100 here did do twice as much damage. Look at that. 8,654 damage done for that E100 driver, who, unless I'm very much mistaken, seems to be Greek. He fired 17 shots, 16 hits, 14 penetrations, did 8,654 damage, with potential damage received of 5,200. Wow, that's a good game in an E100. But that's an amazing game in a Panther 2. 27 shots, 22 hits, 19 penetrations. For 4,613 damage. He actually got hit 7 times. Penetrated 5 times. And yet somehow didn't die. Well, one of the shots, at least one of the shots, hit his tracks and didn't do any damage. And one of the shots, certainly from the T44, hit his turret ring and damaged it without knocking it out. So he had a fair amount of luck on his side as well. Not least of which was going one-on-one against one of the most unlucky IS-8 drivers I have ever seen. To be fair to that IS-8 driver, he was actually the best player on the enemy team. There he is. He did 2,000 damage in a tier 10 game, which is all right, But when you're looking against, when that's the best your team can do, I mean, 2 players did more than 2,000 damage, and neither of them were your tier 10s. And when the enemy team is doing 8,000 damage and 4,000 damage, you just don't stand a chance. So, well played, Chrysamis there in the Panther 2, doing a massive job in a tier 8 medium in a distinctly uneven battle. So, from a game where a Panther 2 does spectacularly well in a tier 10 match, imagine what you can do if, for example, you're in an FV4202 British tier 10 medium in a game where 3/4 of the remaining enemy tanks are tier 8s. This replay, in which I have had to protect the names of the innocent, was submitted by Madnakami, who had an awful match in his artillery. What had happened was the enemy team had completely overwhelmed the western side of the map and overran the artillery quite early on. And pretty much the opposite had happened for the friendly team in the woods over on the eastern side of the map. The IS-7 in the woods in particular has had a fantastic game. Here's our FV4202. Tier 10 British medium tank. The IS-7's been spotted and he's exchanging fire with that IS-4. T69 spotted, puts one into him. IS-7 helps him out, finishes him off. The 4202 then successfully manages to avoid supporting his only remaining teammate and leaves him to the mercy of that IS-4. The IS-7, by the way, has a dead driver. And instead goes off to secure a kill on a low health tier 8. Now you could argue, and you may even be right, that by doing this and securing his second one-shot kill of a low health tank, that the 4202 secured his flank. And you wouldn't necessarily be wrong. But he then, again, successfully manages to fail to support his only remaining teammate in a fight against a tier 10 heavy. And he doesn't move up until the IS-7's dead. But it's still not the end of the world. I mean, he has almost full health. He's got 1600 health here. The IS-4 only has around 1200. He has the speed, the maneuverability, and the DPM advantage over this IS-4. Of course, it would help if you didn't keep giving your side to the IS-4 in your thinly armoured British tier 10 medium. But don't worry, I'm sure he won't make that mistake twice. What's he doing? Oh, well, the IS-4's aimed. Oh, he knows you're there, so you go out anyway. Okay. Still, it's not the end of the world. Although he is going to have to be careful, because the IS-4 does have a very dangerous gun. But the thing is, you've got the fire rate advantage over the IS-4. If you keep just popping in and out and playing peekaboo with an IS-4 in any kind of medium tank, you're going to lose. Why did he only... Is he...
Let's go.
He's using hash. Okay, this suddenly got very interesting. The IS-4's out of ammo. He only has high explosive left. But the 4202 is not using APCR ammo. He has 470mm of penetration if he uses APCR. That's one of the most heavily armoured tanks in the game. And he continues to insist on using non-premium HESH ammo against one of the most heavily armoured tanks in the game. That one goes through. The IS-4, remember, is only using HE. Put your rate of fire to work. What are you doing? And the amount of rage in chat. So he gives his side to the IS-4 again. And then backs off. It gives the IS-4 time to reload. You know, words fail me at this point. Yeah, the IS-4's probably reloaded by now. You should go out again. And I know for a fact, some of you might be saying, well, yeah, the 4202 could have been out of APCR by now. I have seen the replay analysis of this game, and unless the 4202 was using the most unbelievably retarded ammo loadout in the world, there is no way he didn't have any APCR ammunition. He really is just that stupid. Another high explosive hit, which is all the IS-4 has left. But no, don't you shoot him twice for every one time he shoots you with your superior rate of fire. No, you might win if you do that. Words just fail me at this point. I really don't know what to say. That is one of the worst things I have ever seen in World of Tanks. Of course, there's plenty more where those ones came from, so stay tuned for more compilations like this one in the future. As always, folks, take care on that battlefield, and I'll catch you next time.